Okay, we'll talk now about a very interesting architect, Italian architect who lived and worked in the United States, Paolo Soleri. 1919, 2013, he lived a long life and he qualifies for what is called a visionary architect. This was the man, a serious man, a sensitive man who started to build almost with bare hands nothing less than a city in Arizona, in the United States. Paolo Soleri, a dreamer. And he had many volunteers from all over the world who came to work with him. And well, he realized only a fragment of his dreams, but it's wonderful that he tried to implement his dreams. So let's read a little bit about him. Paolo Soleri, born the 21st of June 1919 and died on 9th of April 2013, was an Italian architect. He established the educational Cosanti Foundation and Arcosanti. Soleri was a lecturer in the College of Architecture at Arizona State University and the National Design Award recipient in 2006. He coined the concept of arcology, a synthesis of architecture and ecology, as the philosophy of democratic society. He died at home of natural causes at the age of 93. Soleri authored several books, including The Bridge Between Matter and Spirit, Is Matter Becoming Spirit, and Arcology, City in the Image of Man. And here are some projects, if we are to call them some visionary works, maybe not very modest, but certainly very original. And he started to build such a city or fragment of a city, and you are going to see images of it. And this kind of studies we here don't even do in school, and he did them after school, after he graduated from a school of architecture in Italy. And coming to the United States, he didn't give up his dreams and he started to implement them. And you are going to see a little bit later on images of his built work in Arizona. But he thought of the collective good. He made proposals for arcologies, the meeting between architecture and ecology. Now, I wouldn't call his work sustainable because they have a certain grandiosity which maybe could be viewed even critically. But I admire the heroic stance he took. And okay, they appear to be utopian, but the fact that he started to build them and he actually built significantly should tell us something. He was not just a dreamer. He was a dreamer who wanted to transform the dreams into reality. And to an extent, he succeeded. Of course, the enterprise was, in a way, out of this world. A man to want to change the world. And I keep telling the students, try to put yourself in the position where you think of yourself as a possible agent of transformation of society and life. Because without the idealism of such posturing, which shouldn't be arrogant, quite the opposite, should be modest. You put yourself into serving society, but not as a slave, but as someone who works hard to make life better and not just to submit to the requirements of I don't know what and who. But to transform, as Alvar Aalto said, a good architect gives to the client more than the client imagines that he could receive from the architect. Because the client doesn't have the imagination, the culture. But if you don't make proposals, different alternatives with what you want, with what you would like to build, the client doesn't know. If you just say yes to whatever he says, it's not enough. Now, you see from this model, he was only able to build what is here. But it is more than what most architects build in a lifetime. He was able to build what is this, with the darker gray in this model. Who knows? Maybe the future will continue his work. So you could say it was a lost life because he only built what is here at the bottom. But what is here at the bottom is actually, if not huge, but quite big. He had his own theories. He built, he imagined these projects transformational, and he had a vision for a new Earth, if you want, Terra Nova. He had countless exhibitions, but even if these works appear to be grandiose and even out of scale and so on, he also worked with his own hands, and he even supported himself and the community of volunteers who worked with him by selling bells manufactured with the crafts, through manual work, and you are going to see images of that. Look what he built. This was built, and you could say, who needs this? Well, it's almost like asking who needs experimental art, or who needs creativity, or who needs beauty, or who needs. This is a factory he built in Italy before he left to the United States. And I think it was a factory for tiles or some kind of ceramic entities, let's call them tiles. And it's an interesting work in itself. I think, I don't know, somewhere in the south of Italy, maybe Sicily, he built it. Here is the man once he arrived in the desert, and here he is as an older man. This is Arcosanti. Welcome to Arcosanti, an urban laboratory. Yes, laboratory. So he received donations. He worked with lots of volunteers, and he built. Here he is, or I don't know if it's him or someone else, also working with clay, with burnt clay, with ceramic tiles, with inscriptions on them. So there was some kind of a connection with Native American Indian culture in that area. Here he is interviewed in one of the structures he built, I guess the dining room, where they used to gather, and it's something splendid, this collectivity, this cooperative of many students from all over the world flooding Arizona in the desert to help Paolo Soleri build a new city. This is the spirit we need, the spirit of pioneering, the spirit of exaltation, of exuberance. This exalts the soul, and it is important. And look, it's a building site. Okay, not as ample as he would have liked, but still, it's architecture emerging from the soil of the desert towards a new city. He could have built more. He could have built less. He could have just watched TV, HBO or Netflix all his life from the sofa. He didn't want to do it. Look at the students. They are beautiful. And this spirit we should have ourselves. You know, they work because they love to work, because they believe in an activity that is creative. They themselves thought that they were changing the world. They believed in Paolo Soleri, and look at them, and I think they are beautiful. You know, I mean, what is the alternative? And then in the evening, they would have discussions. They will also learn, while they would also build, because what you see here was built by them. Staying in a circle without an authority, without no one in the center, and without, imposed artificial hierarchies. And look at them, also partying, discussing, making friends, working together, eating together, and so on. This is the spirit we need also in this country. It's a spirit of creativity, of idealism. They were also supporting themselves because there was a lot of tourism. People would go there to see what was happening at Arcosanti, and they purchased in order a form of donating money to the enterprise. Bells and other artifacts that they produced in this area. He also contributed to I think it's in Phoenix, Arizona, to the making of this bridge. But I don't think that work is so significant. More significant is this work that he started, Arcosanti. Again, these were artifacts that they manufactured with their own hands, bells, and they contributed, they added a little bit of money to the activity they were engaged in. Paolo Soleri, another dreamer. But we need such dreamers, because otherwise the whole world would collapse under the frivolousness of HBO and Netflix and TV and so on. Who control us? They control us. These big companies control us, and there are ways to escape their control if we are willing to escape. So a building built by Paolo Soleri and his collaborators from all over the world, other structures there in the desert. Is this the Heideggerian building, dwelling, thinking? To an extent, yes. Not as poetical, and maybe not even as efficient as in Amereida, Ciudad Abierta in Chile, but it's something similar, where a group of people live together and work together and create together. Arcology, architecture plus ecology. He came from Italy, let's not forget this. So he was, the recipient of the cultural heritage of Italy. And he brought something from Italy, from Europe, to the desert in the United States. Terra Nova, a new city, a new beginning. And exhibitions. He had plenty of exhibitions all over the world. Ceramic tiles done in that area. The interior of one of the buildings. Is it bad? I don't think it is. And again, it was built almost with bare hands and with the work of volunteers. He dedicated his life to what we look at. Maybe some found furniture, pieces of furniture. We even see the seats there from a car. You understand, with such things you cannot accumulate wealth. This is about dedicating yourself to a vision and making it implementable. Paolo Soleri. Well, now the word Soleri is almost explicitly connected with the sun, no? With the energy of the sun. Soleri, Soleri, solar. Very nice ceramic tiles, actually. And this reminds me of the work Frank Lloyd Wright did with concrete, where he created some kind of a concrete block also ornamented, like these are ornamented. It's interesting, this duality. On one hand, rather large mega structures. On the other hand, rather humble ceramic works, clay. Um, so I guess he had some kind of ambivalence. On one hand, the respect and affection for the earth, exemplified by these works done in ceramics, and on the other, these interesting models of visionary cities. This was his own house. Not bad. Truly remarkable, dwelling there in the desert. So yes, I think he qualifies for what is called a visionary architect. Living and working and thinking in the same place. Here he is at a large, drafting board, laboring on his drawings. Again, his own home. Paolo Soleri carved earth from form for the original drafting room and interior of the ceramics workshop. And this is the factory that he built in, I don't know exactly where in Italy, but it was built for a ceramic factory in Italy. And his own home in Arizona, drawings, Cosanti site plan, quite visceral and interesting. Well, we wanted to do this, but he only built a fragment of what he imagined. Arcosanti, a city of the future. Paolo Soleri builds a living model of his community of tomorrow in the Arizona desert. I don't think I am too far away from truth if I say that most good architects, essentially, they wanted to change the world, to improve upon it. Some more, some less. The so-called visionary ones were more courageous, but the chance of them implementing their dreams became, disproportionately, small. The more the dreams were, quite ambitious. But I have the highest admiration for those who try to implement their dreams, to make them concrete, to give them reality. And he tried. He did more in a way than, let's say, some of the visionary architects of the 18th century, like, well, not necessarily. They built too. I'm talking about Ledoux and Boulez, but what they built was very often very different from what they envisioned in graphic works or just projects. In the case of Soleri, he tried to build exactly what he was envisioning. It's amazing in a way that he succeeded even at the level he succeeded. As you can see, he was a very modest man, but with big dreams. This is the interior of the ceramics tiles factory in Italy that he built. And I would say it's not bad at all. And this was, he built it as a young man. And then he left Italy to live and work in the United States. But I like this interior and I think you like it too. There is no reason not to like it. Projects, projects, projects. Some built work. We talked about Benedetta Tagliabue and Merce Cunningham. Here we see, a performance by the people who helped build these structures. And in the evening, because we all need playing and some form of entertainment. But this reminds me of the great choreography of Oskar Schlemmer at the Bauhaus. So living and working and studying and thinking in the same place creates the conditions for a creativity that manifests itself in a wide range of things, in varied ways. And here we see that creativity, maybe these were students in architecture, but look at them. They had the creativity towards other fields as well. And bravo to them. And here you see them eating together, and I think it's beautiful. It brings people together under the canopy of the big structure that they built. We could do so much if we are united, just as these people were united by an ideal, by dreaming, but also by the factuality of doing. Maybe they cook together, they play together, they build together. These are, suggestions of a possible ideal city, almost in a Renaissance or sense. There were depictions of the ideal city during the Renaissance that could make one dream of looking at these structures built by Paolo Soleri and his collaborators. That's it for today. So thank you.